arguably, because, Patrick Willis.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the only person you could argue with it about.
There's some good people, but boy, the way he plays, he's always around the ball. Oh, he got the sack. Remember he came through and got a sack and made a
forced fumble
on that, and just did a great job.
Actually, right before that play, I was like, come on, Matt Flynn, you scared? Throw a pass. And he ran the pass play, and Sean Lee got back there, and him and Orlando Scandrick actually had the dual sack on that.
Yeah.
Scandrick hit the ball out.
I think Hatcher was in the middle of all that too. It was great play. Next player, my favorite, he's definitely my favorite on the list, Dez Bryant. Didn't play many plays, was in there on 2 drives with Romo, Witten, those guys. And while on both of those drives ended up, having problems with penalties and Witten and Romo doing their thing that they do, Dez Bryant was electric. He, as good as Sean Lee is on defense, that's how good Dez Bryant is on offense. This guy catches everything coming his way. Once he gets it, he's hard to bring down. He ran into Mike Jenkins, a Cowboys cornerback from last year that we let go and who went to Oakland, and knocked his helmet off. He hit him so hard. So, Dez Bryant looks so big amongst those cornerbacks. I mean, he just runs over them. He's big and strong. It was awesome. Awesome play by Dez. Next one, you take it.
The offensive line.
Yes.
That was so surprising because normally, we've got Doug Free, Bernardo or whatever, Nate Livings out there making holdings and just missing blocks.
Romo getting crushed.
They looked great. I mean, Doug Free even did his job.
Doug Free looked
which
great.
was very surprising.
On both running and pass
And
protection. Romo had tons of time. He actually talked about it in an interview after the game. Kyle Wharton had plenty of time. But the running game, which it'll be a great segue into this, huge lanes for the running backs, when Jason Witten's not holding. Great lanes for that. They all look good. Tanner, DeMarco Murray, those guys, John Randall had some great lanes run through it. But once again, second week in a row, the running back that shined more than anybody,
Lance Dunbar, had a phenomenal game. I mean, if you just watch him, his catchings, how he catches and how he runs, it's just amazing.
It is. The way he secures the ball when it first comes to him and when he's catching it, he looks so solid.
Because, I play running back, and I can see a lot of running lanes because I've got that kind of gift, but I'm not that fast, so it's not that good. But, man, I could see him seeing lanes that I couldn't even see. He's very smart, too. He really is.
He does. Good vision. Good vision for a running back. And then when he does see the hole, he hits it. There were a couple where he had a couple of holes because the offensive line was doing so well. But once he made the decision, he ran off some 12, 14-yard runs. He is fast off the ball. I think the Cowboys are so excited.
And he can hit people, too. He's small, but he can hit people and he can take hits.
And I think the Cowboys organization is excited. I think that they've got Philip Tanner and they've got John Randall that they got in the draft this year, but both preseason games they are using Dunbar as though he is the second string running back behind DeMarco Murray.
He is. On the depth chart, he actually has been
listed
moved
as number 2.
Number 2, which I'm very excited about because I'm a very big Dunbar fan.
And in today's NFL, very few teams outside of Minnesota with Adrian Peterson that really has a feature back. These days people run tandem backs or even 3. In this case, if you can do a 1-2 punch with DeMarco Murray and this speed guy, Lance Dunbar, it's set up for a good year for running. Especially if the offensive line can keep up.
They can switch off every other drive, because DeMarco needs breaks because we don't want him injured.
No, surely don't. And talking about another good thing, and this all kind of plays into the whole thing, the running backs, the time, we talk about the offensive line look great. You can't talk about how great the offensive line looks without talking about the first-round draft pick, which the Cowboys, Jerry Jones, everybody, gave him a lot of trouble over picking Travis Frederick. They picked him too early. But if you get this great center who calls the calls on the line, gets everybody sets up. I've not seen a missed fumbled snap yet. He's out. He plays the entire game on both preseason because they're giving him lots of work. The coaches can't say enough about his smarts, and he's a big reason why there's been no push in the middle. I mean, what do you think? I mean, this is a guy. How can you say you picked him too early when he's this good already?
He's really good. He's a lot better than a lot of people expected him to be.
Yes.
Because, I mean, I didn't really know him in the draft because I was like, wait, who picks a center in the first round?
Yeah.
But, I was actually happy that we got a center because we needed one really, really bad.
Phil Costa.
Phil Costa. Oh, God, he's awful.
Yeah.
Awful. But he's really looked great. I mean, they have him in there playing center for the first half. Then the second half he plays guard.
That's true. I forgot about that. And he looks great at guard.
He really does. He looks great.
I don't want him to move him to guard. I want him to
I
keep
wouldn't.
him at center because I think that's certainly where he's at and the way he sets everybody up and calls the calls on the line of scrimmage. But man, this guy, So, back to my point, I don't think it's a bad pick. Linemen sometimes play for 12, 13 years. If this guy's this good as a rookie, he's this young, can stay healthy, and he plays for you, gives you 12 good years at center, I think this is just a slam dunk. So, like most drafts, you never hear the experts come back and say they were wrong, but, it usually takes 2 to 3 years to really tell whether your draft is any good.
Yeah.
And in this case, I think they were way too quick to jump to judgment on this being a bad
And the
pick.
Cowboys haven't had a great center since Stepnoski in the 90s.
No. Which, has been part of Romo's problem.
Yeah.
Part of it. Not part. Anyway, so offensive line, running game, great stuff. We'll wrap it up with the last 2 items, which really go together.
Monty Kiffin and the
The
defense.
Tampa 2 defense. Switching back to the 4-3.
Looked amazing. If our defense looks that good in the in the preseason, and going back to the Hall of Fame game, where our second string defense was absolutely crushing Miami's first string offense. Tannehill looked over there. He was looking awful, which I don't like him. I was like, how could you pick him in the first round?
I don't know.
I mean, he's not
It's
good.
some Mike Sherman, A&M Aggie connection. I mean, that's all Phil.
Yeah.
The defense, obviously you're switching. We've been in a 3-4 since Parcells got here. It's certainly different. Guys are lining up, but boy, it's hard to take too much away from 2 preseason games, but DeMarcus Ware looked like a man-child out there, doing nothing but rushing the quarterback every time. Hatcher looked great. Sean Lee, like we were talking about.
Just the best. Is that
These
he constantly
guys,
rushes the quarterback.
he doesn't have to worry about dropping back.
He used to have to play the zone,
Yeah.
but now we have him rushing the quarterback every play. I mean, it's
That's his
great.
job. Yeah, and so the 4-3. I personally, I just like the 4-3 better than the 3-4. I think it's just.
Me too.
I just think it's more. I don't know. I just think it has a better base to it. I think it's just a little more. I think 3-4 is great if you had an all-star group of players that were all, Einsteins on the IQ, the Wonderlic test, and they were all, Sean Lees of the world. But that just doesn't happen. You have a lot of players, and I think the 4-3 is just more of a basic defense. They all understand. They don't have to think as much. They can use their athletic talent and get it done, and then spot it in with a few smart and good people, DeMarcus Ware and Sean Lee and those guys. It's been incredible. I mean, they always preach turnovers. Cowboys never were for the last several years have been so low on the list on number of turnovers that we get, particularly the differential. Now, just in 2 preseason games, again, can't get too much into that, but they have created turnovers, especially the first team defense. Both times they've been in there. In both games now, against Miami the first week and now Oakland the second week, they've created a turnover and gotten the turnover on the opening drive of the opposing offense. So both times our offense have started off getting the ball on the 20-yard line of their opponents. So Monty Kiffin, his assistant, Rod Marinelli,
Really?
ex-Marine, and those guys have already got it in shape. I think it's going to be an exciting season. Well, we need to wrap this up. Any more comments or observations from the Cowboys?
Yes. very happy that Jason Garrett is no longer calling the offensive plays.
So glad you said that. Me too. Head coaches need to be head coaches. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect example was at one point in the game there was a bad call by a referee. Imagine that. And it was of course
against the Cowboys.
It was against the Cowboys as usual. And the Babe Loffenberg and Brad Sham, the Cowboys Network people that were calling the game, they were talking about at this point the game had moved on and our offense was doing something. And Jason Garrett was still on the sideline giving an earful to the referees. Last year and the previous years he couldn't have done that. He would have had to been over there doing the offensive play calling. That's what head coaches need to do. I think they need to operate that way and frees them up. It's too. The NFL is complicated as it is. It's too much to be the offensive play caller and the head coach. So glad you brought that up. Glad you brought that up.
It's very complicated for Jerry to be the owner and
GM. Well, he hasn't done a very good job of that either. So, but that's another story unfortunately we'll have to live with. So, hey, thanks for joining us. Again, thanks to Dylan, Snoop Dogg 44 for our special guest this week. And check back in weekly. We'll do videos as we go and talk about pro football, Cowboys. Next time we won't spend quite as much time on the Cowboys. We'll do a little more pro football and especially fantasy football.
Because we have our own league, and actually our league is looking pretty good.
Looking very good, and I think we'll give you some good insight on that. But we'll catch that next time. Again, visit KNKOps@blogspot.com for all your football, Dallas Cowboys, and fantasy football conversations. Thanks.
Oh, and check out my YouTube channel. We'll put a link in the description. I do Madden games, and I'm going to start doing football vlogs.